entertainment, sports, news, and opinion now. Here is Steve Malzberg.
You heard Laura saying that the Tea Party organizations that we may have heard of didn't really support him in any way. But who did? Well, Laura did. And look, there are parts of this country where if Laura Ingraham and Ann Coulter and Mark Levin are on the radio supporting you, that's worth a lot. In fact, if somebody said, would you rather have, the Freedom Works behind you, or would you rather have any of those three radio talk show hosts in there plugging for you day by day, I think I know what my choice would be. I think we may now know something about how this happened.
Yeah.
All right, there you go. There's Britt Hume's analysis, or part of it, from last night regarding the Eric Cantor loss. Joining us now is our friend Jennifer Rubin, author of the Right Turn blog at the Washington Post. Hello, Jennifer.
Hi, how you doing?
Good. Great to talk to you as always. It appears that Eric Cantor is going to speak momentarily, and from all indications, he will announce that he's giving up his position as majority leader. Tom DeLay was on with us earlier, of course, a man who also gave up his position as majority leader, and he said the worst thing for the Republicans and that Cantor could do is to resign that position, because then it's going to, you're going to have an election and people fighting for it and vying for it, and it's going to divert attention away from everything November. What do you say?
I don't really think so. I think there will be a little bit of a fight for some of these seats. I don't think it's going to last all that long. I think they'll resolve it, and I think it's just a matter of practicality. Cantor can't very well perform his job duties since he's lost now, and I think it's actually good to get this out of the way during the summer rather than in the fall or at the start of the next Congress when they probably want to hit the ground running. It's also a courtesy to his own staff so that they can go out and look for other work. So in this one, I think it's probably all for the best.
All right, let's talk about what happened last night. Lots of theories out there. Almost all of them, though, Jennifer, include immigration as a part of it, some to a larger degree than others. What role did Cantor and immigration, do you believe, play in that defeat?
I think the central issue was the classic case of the politician who loses touch with the tone and the service that members expect, that constituents expect back in the district. That's the overwhelming sentiment I'm hearing from Virginians. That's the, I think, overall impression amongst sort of the party regulars within Virginia, whether you say he was aloof or took his constituents for granted. You just can't do that in the current atmosphere. And I think there was this perception, for better or worse, that he was sort of the K Street guy for the GOP. He was sort of the big business guy. That's not a good association these days. And he had some warning signals. I think he got serious about the race a little bit too late. And there's a bunch of examples of people who have survived with very similar voting patterns, but took things seriously and did a much better job staying in touch back home. Lindsey Graham, who won very big last night. Orrin Hatch is another one. He's pro-immigration, and he got started early when his reelection came up, and is doing fine. So I think it's a matter of personal style. It's a matter of staying in touch, and I think it's a matter of making sure that your agenda and the things that you are pushing as top priorities are the things your constituents are pushing.
And you did write a piece, and again, I love the fact that you write so many pieces in a given day. You wrote a piece about where immigration reform stands now in the aftermath of this defeat. Tim Yuleskamp came on with us earlier and said that this sends a message to leadership. He said that I want them to bring a bill to the floor addressing border security, which is what I wanted all along, but he doesn't know if that's going to happen. Where is so-called immigration reform right now?
I think it's very tough. I'm not convinced that it's never, ever, ever going to happen like some of the anti-immigration reform advocates are saying, and I think there actually is a place for it either this year or perhaps next year. The content matters. It matters a lot. I reported on a couple batches of polling, one by a consortium of about 16 Republican pollsters, another by a group, the Religion and Politics Institute. And what they essentially find is that people don't like, quote, amnesty, but they really are in favor of a lot of these specifics: border security, E-Verify, H-1B visas for high-tech workers, and so-called brainiacs. So I think it's possible to put something together. It's not going to look anything like the Senate bill. And I do think Republicans would be wise to do something, if only because it's not like they're refusing to do anything that makes the issue go away. The Democrats will run on it in 2014, 2016. Why not have a very strong border security bill with a couple things to ensure that we, for example, retain people with advanced degrees who have gone to school in America. I don't think that that's going to unhinge the party, and I don't think that's particularly controversial stuff. It gets to be controversial when you get into all the other stuff, either legalization or citizenship, but they could probably do something. I fear, though, that we're running out of time for this, and much more important in my own mind, an Obamacare alternative. There's not that many days. You have to appreciate how little these people work in an election year. They're going to be there for a few more weeks, then they go away for August recess. They come back for about a week. That's it, and then they're gone. They are gone until election time. So we're really just talking about a few weeks left in the year, and it's June.
Yeah,
how
no,
these people
that
work.
is crazy. That is crazy.
You know, it's just insane. Can you imagine? I'm only going to work, 12 more days between now and December 31st. But that's the way they operate. So I'm not terribly optimistic that or anything else significant is going to get done. That's just kind of the way things are. And I think everyone's going to go back out and campaign. And I think, in a few days, everyone will, as they always do, turn to the next, catastrophe, the next big news story. I will tell you, the only person who is truly, truly delighted by this news is Hillary Clinton, because it cut off the news cycle about her really appalling interviews earlier in the week. So she's probably glad that Eric Cantor came along to distract the media.
Absolutely, and I think the VA scandal's off the pages, everything's off the pages, and now with this election, if I read it right, is coming up fairly soon, I think it's going to dominate the news cycle as well. Let me ask you about a case that you also wrote about that took place in California yesterday, and teachers' tenure was struck down, and it was struck down by a judge who said, and put it in terms that that even Arnie Duncan now came out, and this is a little scary part, said, this shows we have to reform education. But the judge said that it's minority students who disproportionately suffer at the hands of poor teachers, and that tenure just reinforces that and makes it all possible. Yeah,
well, you can't, quibble with the merits. He is dead on, and it's about time somebody, even if it was a judge, stood up and said this, because, of course, the minority students, the poor students, the students who have less access to good teachers are going to be the ones who are hurt the most. That said, let me put on my lawyer's hat for a moment and say, we really don't want judges running the schools, and we really don't want them setting education policy. California law is, as in many areas, somewhat unique. There have been past precedents which give judges an opening to decide these cases on equal protection grounds, which was the basis for this judge. I don't think that's a model for judges in other states. But, and this is a big but, I do think Republicans should seize upon the specific findings, namely that tenure and minority student achievement are in conflict. And time again, the Democrats choose teacher seniority, and they are just really killing the educational opportunities for young people, the ones who are the most vulnerable. And I think when they get done with all this Eric, Cantor stuff, they should make a big run at teacher seniority. Not too much the federal government can do, but really from the state level, and also from the point of view of, they have these grants for a race to the top, while giving school districts that insist upon seniority at the expense of the well-being of minority and poor students taxpayer money. That seems an unwise use of taxpayer money. So I think there's lots of things that can be done, but the central point that teachers' unions do not have students' best interest at heart is a critical one, and it hasn't gotten a lot of attention because we've had this other big story, but I think it will. And Republicans have a great argument on education reform. They should start making it and make it one of the top issues in 2014.
Absolutely. And, of course, Eric Cantor, as we spoke, announced that he is stepping down from his post as Majority Leader on July 31st, as we expected. Jennifer, great to talk to you, as always. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Thank you. Jennifer Rubin, ladies and gentlemen. Eric Cantor also saying he will continue to fight for middle-class Americans, and he will be stepping down as Majority Leader on the 31st of July. I don't know. You know, if he was a man who really wanted that seat, I'm not giving up that seat, I'll be back in my district, he could have been a write-in. Maybe he doesn't feel it anymore. Who knows? On the Steve Malzberg Show.